Okay, so this whole unit talks about geometric measurement, and there's three types of geometric measurement. There's one-dimensional, two-dimensional, and three-dimensional. The one-dimensional stuff just deals with length, like a line segment. Think you can only measure how long that is. And that is usually called perimeter, and if it's a circle, it's called circumference, or just generally length too. And these are the, quote-unquote regular units, where you just have inches or centimeters, like that. Two-dimensional units our measurement is when you have length and width, like we have this square right here. And you can find the area of two-dimensional figures. Also, if you have a three-dimensional figure, like this cube down here, you can find the surface area of that. So that's like the area of all the faces of that cube right there. And two-dimensional measurements are always done in square units, so like square inches or square centimeters. And finally, we have three-dimensional measurement, which includes length, width, and depth, like this cube right here. And that's typically just volume of three-dimensional solids. And those are measured in cubic units, like inches cubed or centimeters cubed. Today we're going to be talking about the one-dimensional measurements of perimeter and circumference. And perimeter is just the distance around the outside of a polygon. You just add all the side lengths. And circumference is basically just perimeter, but with a circle. So you can't really add the sides of a circle, so you just use a formula to figure out how far around it is, and that is either pi times the diameter or 2 times pi times the radius. It's the same formula because 2 times the radius is the same thing as the diameter. So, if we look down at our examples down here, we look at this figure here, this quadrilateral. All you have to do is add up the 4 sides. So if you add all 4 of these sides, we'll get 24 inches. Now, for the figure over here, the circle, figure 2, what we need to do is use the circumference formula. And I'm going to use circumference as 2 times pi times the radius because they give us the radius. So in this case, it's 2 times pi times the radius, which is 2, which is 4 pi. And if they ask you to round it to the nearest hundredth, that would be about 12.57 inches. So let's look at these figures here. If we look at this one over here, we have 17, 16, something, 14, 14, and something. So what we need to do here is we need to find the length, this side here, and this side right here. So if you look at the diagram, this one's pretty easy to find because you just trace it upwards. And look, that's 14 across, and that's 16 across. So if you do 16 plus 14, that gives you 30 yards. So that's how long that side is, 30 yards. Now to find this little red guy right here, we can take this whole 17 right here, which would be this whole distance, and subtract away that 14 to figure out what's left right here. So with that would just be 17 minus 14, which is 3 yards. And then finally, all you have to do is add up these sides to find the perimeter. And when you add those all up, you get 94 yards. Now, over here, let's look at this diagram on the right. We can already see that the 17 is here. That's helpful. And we can pretty easily figure out that this is 17 feet up here. Now the question becomes, how long is this? Well, since the radius of this circle is 6 feet, and that's also a radius of 6, and that's also a radius of 6, you can do 6 plus 6 to get this whole thing right here, which would be, of course, 12 feet. So we can add up those 3 sides really quick, really easily. And we get 46 feet. Now, I'm going to highlight this part in blue because we still need to figure out this section too. But if you look at that, that's half of a circle. So what we really want to do with this is take half of the circumference. So the circumference but we want to divide it all by 2, would be 2 times pi times the radius divided by 2. Or, if we cancel that out, cancel out the 2's, it's just pi times the radius. So in our case, that's 6. So let's round that off to the nearest hundredth, and we get 18.85 feet. So finally, to go back and get the full perimeter around this thing, we have to do the 46 from those 3 red sides plus 18.85 from that curve. And we will get 64.85.